Hello world, my name is Leo and welcome to the 500, 600, 700 subscriber Q&A. For those of you who don't know, a couple of weeks ago as of recording this, or somewhere around there, I posted a video saying that I want to do a Q&A for celebrating 500/600 subscribers. And now, as of yesterday when I'm recording this, we have hit 700. So yeah, this is the celebratory Q&A. It feels more appropriate than ever. So I'm going to be doing two videos. Quite a few of the questions that I got had to do with Rain World. I've already recorded that video. That one is going to be part of the Rain World playlist as a separate video, and this one that you're watching right now is going to be for all of the other questions regarding myself and the channel and games and stuff like that. So I did sort these into three categories: gaming, myself, and the channel. So I figured I would just I wrote them down as I saw them in the comments, as I was reading them. And I think I'm just gonna go alternate between each list and keep the questions varied. And yeah, there's not gonna be a whole lot of organization to it. It's just gonna be however the questions may fall. So here we go. Which game genres would you prefer to have suggested to you? And there were a couple of follow-up questions for this one asking me how I am with horror games. And so when it comes to game genres that I would like suggested to me, my personal philosophy for this channel is I am willing to try any game once, regardless of genre, if people want to see it. In terms of genres that I typically tend to gravitate towards, though, I'd say that action adventure tends to be one that I enjoy a lot. Metroidvania tends to be one that I enjoy a lot. Basically, any game that has really good story, really good characters, really good gameplay, and or preferably a combination of all of those. And action adventure and Metroidvanias, I feel tend to be the best versions of all three of those, because they encourage the most when it comes to characters, writing, gameplay, and setting as well, and art. Action adventure and Metroidvania tend to be the best combination of those elements, at least from what I've noticed. But other than that, platformers, anything narrative driven. There was another genre that I had in mind. Oh, puzzle games, RPGs. Yeah, basically anything. So there was another question that was, what's a game genre you like and one you dislike? Basically, anything that isn't sports or anything that's too multiplayer focused. I'd say if there's one genre I do dislike, it's sports games, unless it's a sport that's in another genre. I know there's a couple of games like Golf Story and Cursed to Golf and Soccer Story, and there's a racing RPG that's coming out at some point. Basically, if it's a sport wrapped into another genre, I don't mind, but if it's purely a sports game, probably not gonna play that one. Also, any MMOs, MOBAs, I'm probably not going to play. I do tend to stick to very single player focused games. Anything games as a service or live service games, probably not going to play either, unless it's something that I feel really appeals to me, because those games tend to not be the best. So yeah, in terms of games that I would prefer to be suggested to me, probably action adventure, Metroidvania, platformer, puzzle, Also like roguelikes. You can suggest anything, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that answered that question. Oh, I just realized I completely forgot to answer the question of how I am with horror. So horror games, I have not played a lot of them. The scariest games that I've played are Alan Wake and BioShock. And Alan Wake is not very scary. BioShock, I think, is actually pretty scary. I think it leans into, despite being a shooter, I think it leans into its horror elements a lot in a way that like someone who's immersed, who gets really immersed like me, finds very stressful. And that's the main thing. Like, I tend to get very immersed in the games that I play and in the emotions that the game wants me to feel. And if fear is that emotion, that is very stressful for me. So horror, I don't do the best with, as far as I know. But it is a genre that I do want to get into, and I would definitely be down for playing a horror game on the channel, if anything, just to see how I actually do, like, out of my element. And there's already a couple of horror games that I have in mind. But yeah, I would be down for playing a horror game on the channel. Will you open a Discord server with a place for art, and how often will you be active on it? So I kind of combined a couple of questions right there. So I did say in my 500/600 subscriber video announcing this Q&A that I am going to be creating a Discord server. It will absolutely have a place for art on it. One of the things I daydream about when it comes to like forming a community on YouTube is like having fan art drawn of like that has to do with games that I'm playing or of myself, which we'll get to in a minute, and stuff like that. So yeah, there will absolutely be a place for art in the Discord server. How often will I be active on it? I will try to be active on it every day if I can. The job that I currently have doesn't allow me to have my phone out, except for at very specific times. So if I'm still working at this job, I don't know how active I will be able to be, but I will do my best to be active on there as often as I can. Are you a soup or sandwich guy? Probably a sandwich guy. Like, soup and sandwiches go really well together, but if I had to pick between one or the other, I'll usually go for a sandwich, like a Reuben or a BLT, or like a chicken sandwich. A burger is technically a sandwich, so, and I like burgers, so I usually go for that. So yeah, between soup and sandwiches, probably sandwiches. What's your top 10 games or series that you've played? So I did get a couple of questions, like one asked me for my top 5, one asked me for my top 10, and I don't know if this is exclusively for the channel or if it's like games that I've played overall. So for games that I've played overall, I'd say my top 10 in no particular order would be Journey, Celeste, Night in the Woods, Uncharted, the series, but in particular 2 and 4. God of War, not the whole series, in particular 2018 and Ragnarok. Persona 5 Royal, Nier Automata. See, I'm debating whether or not to include channel games in this because it's weird. I've kind of given up on having a favorites list because I've played so many games and I could slot so many games in and out. Horizon Zero Dawn I like a lot. I don't know if I would put that in the list anymore. The Last of Us I also like a lot, but I don't know if I would put that in the list anymore either. Oh, Grease. You know what? We'll just stop there because those 8, or like if you count Horizon and Last of Us, that would make it 10. But those games are what stick out in my mind as as my most favorite games overall that I have played, like throughout my life. In particular, Night in the Woods and Nier Automata. If I had to pick a favorite, Nier Automata, at least right now, would definitely be my favorite game that I've played of all time. That game is just incredible, from its storytelling to its voice acting to its music to its setting to its ending to its gameplay. It's just phenomenal. In terms of channel games, like Let's Plays that I've done, I'm not going to include Rain World in this because I haven't finished it yet, but I'd say my top Let's Plays, like my favorite games that I've played on the channel, would be Obra Dinn, Hollow Knight, Red Strings Club, Disco Elysium, Omori, Outer Wilds, Tunic, Inscription. I might stop there too, at 8. No other game is really... Did I say Disco Elysium already? I think I did. Oh, One Shot. I really should have prepared this more. Like, I should have, like, probably written down my answers instead of just improvising them off the top of my head, but it's fine. But, yeah, I'd say those 9 games are probably my favorites that I've played on the channel. And, like, when it comes to all of these games, I think they all have, like... They all either have like an X factor to them that like makes them unique to me, or they have like moments that make them super memorable, or they are the good combination of like gameplay, writing, story, and art. And out of the... I know there's a question on here coming up of like favorite Let's Play. Out of everything, and again, I'm excluding Rain World because I haven't finished it. Out of everything that I have played, I'd say it would have to be either Hollow Knight or Tunic, because both of those Let's Plays have moments in them that I am incredibly proud of. Like Hollow Knight has, I feel like I've progressed really well over the course of the game. My voice acting was really good. Like, that was my first like experience having to voice characters in a game for a Let's Play, and I got a lot of compliments on it saying I was surprisingly good. So that was my like first experience with that, and being like, huh, maybe I'm actually good at this. I had no idea I was good at it until Hollow Knight. And like the gameplay in Hollow Knight and the environmental storytelling is incredible. And there was a moment in Hollow Knight where I heard one line of dialogue and was able to guess a massive plot point correctly. So that was really cool. And then Tunic, that game has just such a unique way of telling you its story and its mechanics. The combat is a lot of fun. All of the like fights, and I'm not going to spoil anything because I know there are people who are subscribed who haven't played Tunic, but yeah, the combat's really good. All the boss fights are really good. And the way it delivers its like puzzles and its lore. And again, there is a moment in that Let's Play that I am so incredibly proud of. To where I was essentially able to, how do I want to say this? I was able to figure something out that not many people would have been able to figure out, that made the game a lot easier for myself and just made me feel like I had accomplished something in that game that, again, not a whole lot of people would have been able to accomplish. And especially like Let's Players. I doubt there are, like, I haven't seen very many Tunic Let's Plays, but I'm pretty confident in saying, and you guys who have watched other Tunic Let's Plays, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there aren't a lot of other Let's Players that were able to do what I did in Tunic. So yeah, out of my favorite Let's Plays would probably be either Hollow Knight or Tunic. Inscription was really good too, though. Like, that game is so unique in its presentation, and just being able to figure out all of the like different combinations and stuff. I also actually had a moment in Inscription that I'm really proud of, because I again was able to do something that barely any other Let's Players, I imagine, would have been able to do. So, yeah, Inscription is definitely like, if I did a top 3, Inscription would be the third game. You had mentioned having ideas for an avatar slash mascot for the channel. Is there anything you'd be comfortable showing? So I did talk about this a little bit in the past in a couple of update videos, but at one point I was planning on becoming a VTuber, and I got the avatar commissioned and everything, and I got it rigged. And the reason why I haven't used it is because, number one, there were a couple of problems with the rigging on my end that made the tracking not as like smooth as I would have liked it to be. And the other reason is I just like, the more I thought about it and the more like I observed VTuber culture, because I did get a little into VTubers during the pandemic. The more I observed VTuber culture, and the more I like looked at my own channel and where it looked like it was headed, I wasn't sure if being a VTuber was the direction that I wanted to take the channel anymore. But I do still have the avatar, and I will probably be splicing in a clip of me using it right here, or at the very least a screenshot or something. I'll figure it out in post. But yeah, that is my avatar, and even if I don't fully use the avatar itself, I've considered using it for the discussion videos. Maybe I'll do like a PNG kind of thing. Like, I know there are a few Let's Players like Playframe and Wanderbots and 10 More Minutes that all do like PNG, like drawn characters of themselves just for the thumbnails. So maybe I'll do that with this avatar, or maybe I'll end up using it for the discussion videos. I'm not sure. But if you guys would like to, I know the person in particular who requested this was talking about using it as like for fan art and for drawing. If any of you guys want to use this design for fan art, feel free. And like when the Discord comes up, I'll be more than happy to create an art channel where you guys can post your stuff, and that would be amazing. So yeah, I'm very curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the avatar, and if you guys have any thoughts of how I could use it or how you would like to see me use it, feel free to let me know of that as well. What kind of music do you like? And like, what are my favorite genres and bands? So these days, well, I guess like, yeah, these days I listen to mostly K-pop and video game music. In like high school, and my tastes have kind of evolved over the years. In like high school, I listened to a lot of like alternative rock and a cappella stuff. Well, just pentatonics, but also like for the alternative rock, I would listen to a lot of like Daughtry and Three Doors Down and stuff like that. In college, my taste slightly evolved to like more alternative, like pop rock kind of stuff. So, and I'm still kind of into that music, stuff like One Republic, Churches, Coldplay, Imagine Dragons, like that kind of music. But I don't really listen to a lot of that much anymore these days. Like I said, it's mostly just K-pop and video game music. K-pop I got into like a year or two ago, and video game music I've been like into for a long time. In terms of K-pop, I really like G-Friend, Twice, EXO, BTS is pretty good, Monsta X, Red Velvet, So yeah, there's quite a few bands mixed in there, and then for video game music, um, in terms of like specific composers, I really like Darren Korb, Lena Raine, Austin Wintory. Um, those are probably my top three. Andrew Prallo, who did the Outer Wilds soundtrack, is amazing. To this day, probably the greatest video game music I've ever heard is Outer Wilds, Echoes of the Eye, The Lost Reels. It's a group of 6 songs that Andrew Prallo released after, like, I don't remember how long after Echoes of the Eye came out. And he composed those as like a tribute, a final tribute to Outer Wilds, and it's incredible. Those 6 songs are absolutely amazing. In terms of like game soundtracks, Persona is obviously amazing. Journey, Night in the Woods. I've been listening to a lot of stuff on like Spotify and like my like daily mixes and stuff, so I've heard a few things from Spiritfarer, and obviously before I played it, Spiritfarer's soundtrack is also really good. Death's Door I've heard a few songs from, and that actually sounds really good. I'm really looking forward to hearing the music from Death's Door. Near Automata, and Keiichi Okabe, the composer, that music is like top tier. I don't know if you guys have heard of Nier Automata's music, but it's incredible. They have a made-up language entirely just for the soundtrack that was invented by the singer. It's so good. So yeah, I could go on for a much longer. God of War is amazing in terms of its soundtrack, but The Last of Us, there's like so many indie games that I could list, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. Those are the ones that came to mind off the top of my head. Yeah, that was a lot, but I really love music. Music is probably my second biggest passion, besides gaming. When you take note of games, do you do so after learning more about it, or do you see the name or a screenshot and feel drawn to it? So, before the channel, I would have probably learned a little bit more about the game, probably watched a few trailers, probably looked into more of what the genre is. Yeah, for the most part these days, and even when I was looking up more about games, I would sometimes do this as well. I would just like watch a trailer, just a single trailer, and I'd be like, wow, that looks really cool. And so I'd take note of it and probably forget about it until later. But that's the whole point of the list, to make sure that even if I forget, I can always look at it again if I take a look at the list. So yeah, I hope that answered that question accurately, and not accurately, but like satisfactorily. I hope it answered it well. How did you come up with your channel name? And like a couple of questions that kind of lead off of this. What's the idea behind uploading and viewing files in the intro/outro? So, the channel concept, when I first started thinking about doing YouTube, the initial concept for what I wanted to do was actually a museum, and like the Let's Plays would be like the exhibits, and I'd be the curator. The thing about that was I didn't know how to make that aesthetic work. Like, I am very limited in my own artistic capabilities. So I don't know. I didn't have a clear vision in mind for like what the museum aesthetic on the channel would look like, but I still wanted to like preserve the overall theming of like preserving experiences, like maybe not as like exhibits, but still like looking at each Let's Play as something like I don't know what word I'm looking for, like a relic or a glimpse into my own like thoughts and opinions and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, this channel is all about like my own experiences and being an outlet to express my thoughts and opinions and feelings on something that I'm very passionate about. And the theming of like a legacy and like preserve and like leaving something behind for other people to see as like proof of your existence is something that hits very close to home for me. So when it came to like so I was like, okay, the museum aesthetic, I don't know how to make work. What's something like similar that I'd be able to do? And I started writing down a bunch of like channel names, and what I eventually landed on was like a digital museum, like a like almost like a computer, like files being stored in the matrix and being able to like access them and view them that way, almost like a digital time capsule. And when I was trying to come up with a name, that's kind of where the name like archives, the archives part of the name came from, which is uh like it's kind of a play on the museum theme, like archiving something for later viewing, and like preserving something. The Axiom part of it, I was trying to come up with names for like this matrix that I was going to be like creating, and this whole like file system and stuff like that. And I actually got inspired by a song that I had sung with my a cappella group in college. I was part of an a cappella group in college. Um, and it was a song called The Hymn of Axiom, and it's by Vienna Tang. And in the song, it's actually spelled differently. It's spelled Axiom. And that song, the Axiom in that context, is the name of a computer software that companies use to record people's information to like curate selling products, like the curated ads. As far as I know, at least like from what I was told from the person who like suggested the song and wanted to have us sing it, the Axiom is like a software meant to curate ads for people based on their like information and their history and stuff like that. But I obviously didn't want to use the same name as the software, so I dropped the C. And like Axiom, after looking up the meaning of the word axiom, as it's spelled on my channel, Axiom, that is a word in its own right. And after looking up the definition, I actually thought it fit very well for the channel. So an axiom is, in terms of everyday life, it can be used as like a math term, but in terms of everyday life, an axiom is a statement or proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true. In other words, it is something that doesn't necessarily need proof for you to know that it's true. And the example that Google has here is supply equals demand. And if you look at, I also like pulled up like other examples of axioms, and apparently another one that I didn't know this was an axiom is Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. The whole is greater than the part. I think another example was the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So it's all like things that are just like accepted as being true without you needing proof that they're true. And to me, for like the theme of like recording my own like thoughts and feelings and being able to express those, that fit really well, because in a way this channel is kind of like proof of my existence, which is kind of contradictory to what an axiom actually is, but like this shows that like I existed, like I had thoughts and feelings and passions and opinions, and this is my way of recording that and expressing them. And yeah, I don't know. It just felt really appropriate for like my mindset at the time, wanting to like make something more of myself and uh, wanting to give myself more of a purpose beyond what I was doing. So yeah, that's kind of where the Axiom came from. There was a follow-up question that I wanted to include with this. Is there secret lore to the channel name and theming? And there actually is, but it's outdated. So when I first created the Axiom, I did have a lore and story in mind, and that is it. Also, kind of like that's another reason why I wanted to do the VTuber avatar, because VTubers typically have like lore and backstory to go with their characters, and I actually don't remember if I came up with the lore when I was creating the channel or if I came up with it later on. Um, but yeah, I did have a whole lore regarding myself and the Axiom. In fact, if you look at my 100 subscriber video, I actually have myself and the Axiom as two different characters. Um, but when I decided to focus more on the games and more on myself, I kind of dropped the lore. I didn't really do a whole lot with it. I could always bring it back because no one knows what it is. I could explore that story and those themes again. Um, I just don't know in what capacity I would do that or how I would do that, because yeah, right now I'm mainly focused on the games and my expressing my opinions on them and stuff like that. The lore kind of took a backseat when I kind of realized what direction I generally wanted to take the channel. I will say though, in addition to the like 100 subscriber video, there is an Easter egg somewhere somewhere in the channel. Um, it is outdated, and I don't even remember fully what it says. But yeah, there's an Easter egg somewhere, um, and I'll leave it at that. What's the funniest pet name you've ever seen? So I don't know. Oh, there was a meme, like there was a video I saw on Twitter of different like someone going through different like posters of cats at like an adoption center or something, and one of them was called Dave the Magical Cheese Wizard, I think. It was the words magical cheese wizard were definitely in there. I just don't remember if the name was Dave or not. Um so that's really funny. I found that name really funny. Other than that, the thing that came to mind when I saw this question was the commercial. I want to say it was like for Geico or something. There was a commercial that where a guy came into his house and he was like, he was calling for his dog, and his dog was named Mr. Barky von Schnauzer. And he was trying to find Mr. Barky von Schnauzer, and then it was like I don't know, humans will name their pets stupid things or something like that. Or I don't know. I don't remember what the commercial was for. It was for insurance or something. But yeah, that's what came to mind when I saw that question. Are there any games that you know a lot about but want to play to experience for yourself? Um, if I'm being honest, not really, at least not at this time. Like, I through making the channel, I have become like kind of obsessed with like recording and expressing my thoughts on every game that I play. And it's not because I'm like trying to make as much content as I can. It's just because I'm enjoying the process so much of like recording my experiences with these games and bringing more attention to these games that I love so much. So like even if it's an obscure indie game that no one would have heard of, if I'm enjoying it, I want to be able to bring attention to it. And like in that regard, like people like Wanderbots and Best Indie Games and stuff like that, um, I think they do a really good job with like spotlighting games that other people might not have heard of, and I kind of want to do the same thing. Um, and then beyond that, just being able to share my thoughts and feelings on games is just a really nice feeling. So very rarely do I play games on my own anymore. Um, Very rarely do I pick up a new game with the intent of not playing it on the channel. Um, if I do play something that I don't put on the channel, it's mostly either demos or DLC. Like God of War Valhalla, the new DLC that came out for Ragnarok. I'll probably play that on my own. I don't think I'm going to play that on the channel. I did recently play some Next Fest demos that I had downloaded that I ended up not putting on the channel. Stuff like Laika H Through Blood, The Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, Ghost Runner 2, Worldless. There were a couple of other ones. Oh, Goodbye Volcano High. I tried out a couple of demos for those, ended up not putting them on the channel. But I would, even the demos, I would like to put on the channel. Like, I've done a couple of streams in the past for the Steam Next Fest. I would really like to do that again. And I know there's one coming up in February. I don't know if I'll be able to stream any of those, or I don't know if I'll be able to record any of the demos, but if I can, I will. But yeah, in terms of games that I know a lot about that I'd want to experience for myself, I know a lot. I know a little about a lot of games. I don't know if I'd say I know a lot about any of the games I really play. I don't know. A lot feels kind of subjective. I mean, I know like when it comes to like Octopath Traveler or something like that, I know what the gameplay is like generally, but I don't know the story. But yeah, in terms of games I want to experience for myself, very rarely these days do I want to just keep the experience to myself. And I don't know what that says about me, if it's like I know my opinions and my thoughts aren't all that special in the grand scheme of things, but very rarely have I had the chance to be able to express those feelings, and very rarely am I in a position where I'm able to bring more attention to games that I love. And so if I have the opportunity to do both of those things, I would much rather do that than just keep the experience to myself. How long do you think you'll do the channel? So I think as much as I would love to do the channel forever, I know that's probably not gonna happen. So, but I don't have a set timeline for how long I want to do it. So I will say that as of right now, I plan on doing the channel until either it's no longer sustainable for me to do so, I am satisfied with what I've done and I want to move on to something else, or I die. Those are the only three things that'll stop the channel at this juncture. There probably will come a point in time, either through burnout or through losing relevance. Not that I have all that much relevance to begin with right now. Or something that might make me move on from the channel, but yeah, for the foreseeable future, I want to keep doing this. I love doing this, and no matter how many people are watching, and that was something else. I don't know how many of you have watched the "What's the point of this channel" video. That is something that I put up as like my channel trailer, because it's a very important video to me. And in that video, I say that I'm never going to give up the channel, or I'm never going to stop the channel because I feel like giving up. And I'm never going to let the views or the numbers influence my decision to leave. Yeah, like I even had, for those of you who haven't watched that video, I talk a little bit about this in that, but someone in my life at the time, and this was at about 2 years in, had told me that to maybe go for another year, and if stuff hadn't changed, to move on. And a year came and went, and I'm still here. And at that time, nothing had really changed. In fact, at the time when a year would have passed since, like, from 2 years to 3 years, at the time, my channel was doing super poorly. There was hardly any engagement. My subscriber numbers had plateaued. And I chose not to I didn't want to give up. And I just didn't want to stop. I love doing it too much. So, yeah, for the foreseeable future at least. What's your favorite tarot card? So I don't know a whole lot about tarot. I've only gotten like a little bit into it here and there. But I think like the Fool is kind of a cool one when it comes to like the like adventurer, like protagonist kind of thing. But whenever I think of tarot, my mind always goes to the Tower, which I know is a very bad card usually because the Tower represents sudden change. And that can be either very good or extremely bad. But it's the Tower that it's the card that I think about the most, and that is most memorable for me, at least. So yeah, if I had to pick any of them, I'd say either the Fool or the Tower. Probably the Tower, because that theme also hits kind of like close to other themes that I'm passionate about. Has creating Let's Plays affected the way you play games? Do you find yourself thinking more critically or paying more attention? I think so, to at least a little bit of a degree. Like, so when I first started the channel, I didn't have any reference for what would be like good for people to watch. And so especially like when I played Hollow Knight, figuring out a lot of the like story beats and the environmental storytelling and stuff like that, that just came naturally to me. That was just something that I felt like was fun, that I wanted to do. And in that regard, I don't think I've changed very much at all. And if anything, it's been reinforced to me that people really like to hear my theories on what's going on and really like it when I'm observant and I pay attention to tiny details and stuff like that. So I don't think that's changed all that much. Have I become more critical of games? Probably, actually. Like, games like Stray and The Artful Escape. And again, it's all about like voicing my thoughts as well, because I want to express my opinions, and in order to express my opinions, I need to actually have opinions. And so, before the channel, I would still like pay attention. I would still like have things that I like and don't like, but when it comes after the channel, I do tend to, I think, be like, I tend to pick out those elements more and like talk about them more, I guess. And then obviously, like with the discussion videos that I want to do, I do want to learn how to be more critical, because I do tend to be not as critical, I think. Like, I do have a high grind tolerance when it comes to games that are grindy. I do go into each game with the same amount of respect that I would treat any other game, and it's up to the game to either keep or lose that respect. But I feel like that tends to make me, like, I am more tolerant of systems that other people might not be as tolerant about, I think. But for my discussion videos, I do want to be more critical, and I want to like take a step back and be like, okay, would other people enjoy this system versus how do I feel about this system? Like this story beat, this writing, stuff like that. So I do think I am slowly becoming more like critically minded of games over time, and to an extent I do want that to happen so that I can talk better about the games that I play, and maybe I can become a professional, quote unquote, professional reviewer or something like that. I feel like that'd be really cool. Outside community recommendations, what is your process for choosing games? Honestly, it's just whatever I feel in the moment. Like I just pick from my list a personal game that I really feel like playing at the time. Like that's how Beacon Pines came to be on the channel. I just really felt like playing Beacon Pines. I found the premise kind of intriguing, so I was like gonna play that. Same with like Red Strings Club. That was another one that I really felt like playing that one. So yeah, it's basically just whatever I'm in the mood for at the time. Uh, Other than that, if you're talking about like how I add games to the list, I do have like I do keep my ear to the ground when it comes to like gaming news and stuff like that. So I sometimes hear of games through like IGN or Push Square, um, Skill Up. I'd say the biggest source for my list right now would be a combination of my Steam discovery queue. Um, that recommends me quite a few games that I've put on my list, and the YouTube channel Best Indie Games. I don't know if you've heard about that. I don't know if any of you guys would have heard of that channel, but the sole purpose of that channel is to show off compilations of indie game trailers, and the commentator who runs the channel like gives a little blurb about each game and each trailer, and he like sorts them by like the week that they came out, or by genre, or by like art style. He has a bunch of different videos, and lately that has been a pretty big source of finding games to put on the list. So yeah. What games did you grow up with? Were they on console, PC, or were they Flash games? So I grew up on the Windows XP and like the original PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Some of the first games I vividly remember playing were there was a Hot Wheels game that I don't remember the name of. That was and we had a steering wheel for it and everything that hooked into the computer, and it just had like tracks going through like a forest. I think one of the tracks might have ended with you getting eaten by a frog. And I didn't know what to do. I was too young to figure out how to like unlock other tracks and stuff like that, so I just played the default tracks and probably did it really poorly. Other than that, on PlayStation, there was a game called Pooh's Party Game that I vividly remember playing. That is essentially a Winnie the Pooh ripoff of Mario Party. And that was a lot of fun. I played that a lot. As I got older, I remember playing a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars Battlefront with my brother. I played a lot of the Nancy Drew computer games. Carmen Sandiego was one I also grew up on. My parents got me a lot of the like educational games, like Carmen Sandiego's Math Challenge, Word Challenge, Think Quick Challenge, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego. So that's how I kind of I really like the detective genres and stuff like that. And then Sly Cooper, I would say, was another one that I grew up on a lot because, you know, going off of Carmen Sandiego, again, like detectives and thieves and stealth and stuff like that. That the whole like theming of that. Sly Cooper, like I know a lot of people grew up with like Spyro or Crash or some other platforming mascot. For me, it was Sly Cooper, and I love Sly Cooper. I really hope they give him the like remake treatment that they gave Crash and Spyro. So yeah, those are kind of the games that I would say I grew up on and that I remember playing the most when I was like a little kid through like middle schoolish. What counts as a spoiler tip? Now, this was actually a question that was asked in context of the Rain World in the context of Rain World, but I figured it might be good to answer here as well because I can apply it to, it applies as like a channel wide thing. Um, so basically this is a question of like, how okay is like tips and stuff like that, and it varies from game to game. Rain World in particular, just because of the nature of that game, I don't know exactly what counts as a spoiler, so I'm a lot more careful when it comes to what is said. But in general, what counts as a spoiler tip is like, basically if it's a character I haven't met, a place I haven't seen, or an event that I haven't encountered, don't tell me what it is. Don't mention it in the comments. Um, if it is a like gameplay mechanic or an optional secret that it looks like I'm going to miss, you can leave it in the comments, but make it optional for me to read. Like make it so, like put enough spaces in so that I have to expand the comment in order to read it. And like optional things would be like secrets and stuff that aren't important to the lore, or that I would not come across naturally through the story. So yeah, I would say I hope that answers the question thoroughly enough. If you guys have any more questions about that in like expanding upon that in greater detail, let me know. I've been trying to figure it out myself as I go along. So yeah, there's always room for improvement or like changes to that. Are there any favorite Let's Players or reviewers you watch? Yes. So the inspirations for me starting the channel actually were Markiplier and MatPat of Game Theory. I really enjoy both of their videos. I'm really sad to hear that MatPat is leaving. It feels really weird because his videos have been coming out for so long, and like watching that era finally come to an end is really saddening, and like it makes me think about how how old I am and what I'm doing. And yeah, and then Markiplier, I just really enjoyed his passion for what he does. Like throughout his videos, it is very clear that he really enjoys and is extremely passionate about making videos for YouTube. And even if he doesn't really do like Let's Plays anymore, he tends to do more one-off games. It's just the right amount of like, I know that Markiplier is a like, these days he's more of a comedian first and a Let's Player second, I think, but it's just the right balance of like jokes with taking the game seriously enough. Like Markiplier strikes a really nice balance for me when it comes to how he plays games, and his interactions with his friends Bob and Wade are just amazing. I rewatch those videos all the time. Other than that, so those are like the initial like starting the channel. Other than that, people like Living Sun, Lightweight Gaming, like people who started their own YouTube channels, or like ones that I discovered that are not as popular as Game Theory or Markiplier while I was in college. It gave me more of a like motivation to do it myself, and being able to like see those creators grow. And like I was also part of like Living Sun's Discord for a little bit, and being able to like interact with him, I don't know, it made me I would say that those factors definitely influenced my decision a little bit to try it for myself. And then for my discussion videos and like reviews and how I want to do those, Iron Pineapple and how he covers Souls-likes on his channel with his Steam Dumpster Diving series, I really enjoy. I find that like it's very concise, it's clear that he likes what he does, and it is kind of, his like more casual discussion style is kind of how I want to approach reviewing games. But even more than that, my biggest inspiration is probably Skill Up. I don't know if you guys have seen his reviews, but he is probably my favorite independent reviewer right now. Maybe my favorite reviewer overall. Like, um, again, with everyone else that I said, it is clear that he is passionate about the medium. It's clear that he's passionate about video games. But even more than that, the way he's able to formulate his opinions and like convey his thoughts in his reviews is something that I want to strive towards in my own like way of reviewing games. And he scripts his reviews. I usually tend to get writer's block. Believe it or not, I have tried scripting a couple of reviews and stuff, but I would always hit like a writer's block to where I wouldn't know how to like continue past a certain point. I don't have any experience writing, so all of this is like very new to me, but I really want to try it, and I think Skill Up in particular was a really big inspiration for me wanting to try to develop those skills of like being able to talk more critically about the games that I play. So yeah, I think those are probably the biggest ones that I watch. What types of stories in games hit close to the heart for you? This is actually the first thing that comes to mind is existentialism. I love the stories that have to do with finding your place in the world, finding purpose, what it means to be alive, stuff that comes like after death. Those are stories that hit incredibly close to home because I went through and am still kind of going through my own little existential crisis, and like trying to figure out my own purpose in the world and what it means to like why am I here and stuff like that. So yeah, games like Nier Automata, Night in the Woods, Outer Wilds, Disco Elysium, games that cover those topics, I really enjoy seeing other people's interpretations on the answers to those questions. So this next thing isn't really more of a question, but it was something that was commented under the like Q&A announcement video, and it is something that I want to address. So the comment, or I'll actually pull it up so I'm not like paraphrasing too much. So the comment says, my concern is, since your channel took off while playing Rain World, your new followers probably expect you to produce Rain World content. Now that doesn't mean you can't do anything else, but keep in mind that a radically different game might not attract those Rain World fans back to your channel. Basically, don't feel bad if a different type of video doesn't get as many views as a Rain World one would. And I wanted to address that because that is something that I have thought a lot about, not just now, but like over the course of the entire channel. And it all comes down to my philosophy of how I want to run this channel and keeping the integrity of what I find fun and what I want to do. So I will never limit the channel to any one particular genre, let alone a particular game, like especially not one game. The whole point of this channel in my eyes is to be able to share my experiences in the gaming world with you guys, and being able to like step out of my comfort zone when it comes to trying different genres and different mechanics and different systems, or being in my element and playing a bunch of games that I am typically pretty good at. So yeah, limiting myself would not be fun. I would not enjoy that one bit. And so if any of the people who came for Rain World are expecting like me to just do Rain World content going forward, I apologize, but that is not my intent for what I want to do with this channel. I will be switching genres. I will be switching games. That is just, for me, that's the point of what I want to do. And I know that that is going to hurt me. It's going to be harder for me to gain a like consistent following and get views than if I just stuck with one game. Like, there's a reason why most people say like doing variety streaming is a bad idea, because sticking with games like Minecraft or Fortnite, or just like sticking with one game in particular or one popular game, is notoriously easier to be able to build a following, and like quicker. You'll be able to build a following quicker than if you're constantly switching games. But for me, the prospect of that just doesn't seem fun. I would much rather take the harder option and play games that I am going to enjoy in the moment and like experience new experiences than gain followers just by playing the same game over and over. And if you guys are okay with that, then I really hope that you stick around. And if you aren't okay with that and are just looking for one particular game, then I do understand. And I hope you enjoy your time here while you are here. But yeah, I just wanted to address that since it is something that is constantly on my mind. Viewers and followers and like gaining, like the numbers are not going to be the primary motivator for the content that I make. It is going to be what I want to do, what I find fun, and what I want to do and what I find fun is playing as many different games as possible before I die. So yeah. Have you ever thought about making a podcast or being a narrator? You have a very soothing voice. Well, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. It is something that I have thought about. When I started the channel, I had no idea that truly, I had no idea my regular speaking voice would, like, I had no idea people would like it. This is just the way that I talk. But like all of a sudden, like when I started the channel, I started getting a lot of comments, both like in real life and from just random strangers in the comments saying like, hey, your speaking voice is really good. And the voices you do for characters are really good. It's really chill. It's really soothing. And so through those comments, because again, I didn't know that that was even a thing until people told me, I have thought more about like becoming a like podcaster or narrator or even a voice actor. Like to start, that's kind of why I want to do the discussion videos, because I want to take more advantage of what I now know is, I guess, one of my biggest strengths, which is my voice, and being able to utilize that more in a way that is able to express my thoughts and opinions more. So that's why I'm kind of going for like a podcasty style, at least right now, with the discussion/review videos that I want to make. I have thought about becoming a narrator. I don't know what it takes to like become like a narrator on Audible or something. I don't know if I would necessarily enjoy that, but it is something I have thought of. And then voice acting is something that I've actually thought a lot about. I don't know how I would get into it, but I really want to try it to see if I enjoy it. Like, not just voice acting for games, like actually voice acting for like a video or for a video game or something. And I would have to do some serious research on how to actually get into that. Like I've even considered doing like ASMR role plays to see if I enjoy doing that. But yeah, lots of stuff that I've considered, not a whole lot in the works yet, but we'll see what happens. What's your favorite game to go back to after a while, or yeah, as like a side question to that, do you have a comfort game? I have two games that I go back to. One that I like play to unwind and stuff. One is the Uncharted series, like specifically the original trilogy, 1 through 3. Um, and the other one is Grease. I find both of those games to be like, if I want to do like some mindless action, I go with Uncharted. And if I want to do some where I just want to shoot people, and if I want to do some like relaxing emotional stuff, like it depends on the mood I'm in, which one I'll go to between Uncharted and Grease. Um, Grease I've replayed a lot. I typically don't replay games, um, but Grease is one that I've played like a good 5 or 6 times. I've also 100%ed it on 3 different platforms now. I've PS4, PS5, and PC. Um, and then yeah, Uncharted. Like actually, a couple of days ago, I just played some Uncharted 2. Um, just did some mindless climbing and shooting and stuff like that. So yeah, those are probably the two games that I think of when I think of like a comfort game for me. What are your plans for 1,500 or wow, 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000 subs? Um, I don't know. I know those numbers are not guaranteed, so I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do if/when I hit them. I do have a couple of ideas though. Something I would like to do for at least 1,000 subs is it was suggested that I could do a full version of my impending death song from Rain World. And that was already an idea that I kind of had circulating in my brain. And I'm thinking maybe that could make for a good like 1,000 subscriber milestone thing. I don't know how long that would take to make because I would have to write the song and then figure out what style I'd want it in, because if I were to try to produce it myself, it would probably be a cappella because I don't know how to produce music. I know very little about producing music. Or I could have it commissioned, but I don't know. I would have to look at the costs for that. So, and if I did get it commissioned, there's like the whole like music video aspect of it as well. Like, would I want it animated? So that's like a tentative idea. I don't know if that will actually come to pass, but we'll see. And then like for 5,000 and 10,000, I genuinely don't know. I would like to do a long discussion video talking about my favorite games of all time. Like going in depth with them. Like stuff like Night in the Woods, Persona 5, Nier Automata. I would like to go in depth with those games, and that would be a very personal video for me. Other than that, I would love to do like a cover, like I would like to do a set of like 5 or 6 songs that are like video game covers of songs, like maybe Song of the Ancients from Nier Replicant, I Was Born for This from Journey, Bulbul from Ender Lilies, something from Persona 5. Like I would like to do like 5 or 6 songs and maybe do like a cover like album kind of thing, and just have that. Again, I have no idea what would go into producing that, but that's just an idea that I'm currently floating around. Outside gaming and acting, what are some of your favorite hobbies? And going off of that, which is connected, are you into tabletop RPGs like D&D? And I am. I'd say so acting is not really a hobby for me yet. Music definitely is. But I've been playing D&D Starfinder for like since like 2016 or something like that. We actually at the beginning of last year, I want to say, we just ended a like 7-year long D&D campaign, and we kind of like captured lightning in a bottle with our group, because everyone in the friend group that I play with is like, we were all able to find a consistent schedule to like be able to play. So we typically have two games going on, and we alternate them every other week. So like one week we'll have this game, and then one week we'll have the other game. And it's the same friend group for both games, just different people running the games. And we've just been able to set aside time each week to be able to do it. And yeah, we were able to complete a campaign from start to finish that lasted like a good 6 or 7 years. And that was really cool. Beyond that, I'm actually, so the person who's running the Starfinder campaign, which is essentially like D&D but in space, he has let us, like, he has let the players in between like main story beats, he'll let a player come in and DM like a side story, like a side mission, and it is my turn next. And so I don't know if I want to do it just yet because I've been so busy with the channel and with work and stuff, but I do have ideas in mind for like a Starfinder side thing. I've never DM'd before, so I would be going all out with it. Like, it involves like an alternate reality, and I'm taking inspiration from like Outer Wilds and Haven and stuff like that. And so it'd be very interesting to see how it went if I can devote the time to it. But other than that, honestly, my schedule keeps me super busy, so I don't have a lot of time for hobbies. I have choir once a week, I have D&D once a week, and I just, other than that, my time is either spent working on the channel or working, like at my actual job. Because like video gaming is still kind of a hobby for me. It's not quite a job yet, but like stuff like TV and like films and stuff, I generally don't have time for anymore because yeah, I've just been so busy. But acting, I would like to get more into that. Again, going off of like the whole voice acting thing, I would like to get more into that just to see if I like it or not. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, right now, music, D&D, and video games are probably my 3 biggest hobbies. And like these days, I don't even know if you could consider video games a hobby for me. It's just a passion that I work to create, to express myself with. What's your gaming rig, and do you have VR? So my gaming rig, I have a PS5 and a PC. My PC has an NVIDIA 3080 RTX graphics card. It has an i9 processor. It has 2 terabytes of SSD storage, and it has 64 gigabytes of RAM. I have a Razer keyboard, a Razer mouse. I have a Yeti Nano microphone. My primary monitor is an Asus VGR, something like that. It's one of the good Asus monitors that was like $250 or something. So it's not like high end, but it's a pretty decent monitor. And then my second monitor is an old Vizio TV that I had during college that I barely used, but now I use it as my second monitor, and it works great. Doesn't have nearly the same like color options and stuff as my Asus monitor does, but it gets the job done. And then my capture card for PS5 is an Elgato HD60S Plus. And I think that covers my entire gaming setup. Oh, as for VR, I would like to get it at some point. Like, I've heard good things about the Meta Quest 3 and stuff like that, but right now I can't justify spending the money on it. I just don't know how often I would use it. I would like to play VR games on the channel, but I also don't know if I have the space for it. But like the Meta Quest 3, since it doesn't have wires, I feel like would be good. But again, I don't know how I would record that. And anyway, I'm like trying to save up money at the moment because I have like student loans and stuff, and I would like to like upgrade my setup a little bit. Like, I think I'd like to upgrade my microphone, um, maybe get a another monitor. My dream scenario, if I were to do YouTube full time, I would maybe like to go for a dual PC setup so that I can stream and like record on one PC while running the game on another PC, because I know that's just going to alleviate a lot of pressure on my PC, and things will be able to run a lot smoother. So right now I'm trying to save up money, and I don't know if I can justify buying a VR headset. What do you think makes a good YouTube game, like a game for YouTube? And I think that it can be a few things, and I know like the internet can be very fickle on when things are popular and when things aren't popular. For my own channel, because I know like I could say like Fortnite and YouTube and Minecraft and Lethal Company and stuff like that are all good YouTube games. But for me and the types of games that I play, I feel like they are games that have like I saw the list this commenter posted. They said familiarity, creativity, and personality. And I think those are all very good points. For me, I think it's a game that has a very deep story that also has a lot to figure out, like through either environmental storytelling or like just like different clues and stuff. Games that do have that like unique X factor, like games that make themselves stand out from the pack with different mechanics or stuff like that. Games that, or like different emotional story beats and how those story beats are portrayed. Standout characters and like challenging gameplay. Like the gameplay has to be fun to watch. So, well, like in terms of gameplay, yeah, challenge is probably going to be better than not challenging. If you're going to be doing a narrative-driven thing, then the emotional story beats and like the writing is really going to have to carry it. In terms of like people's interests and stuff like that. That's why, and I think I'll use this as a transition point. Like, if I were to play like Dark Souls on the channel, I feel like I would get a lot more followers because that game is very challenging and has a lot of hidden lore. I don't know if I want to play Dark Souls on the channel, but I am aware that if I were to play it, I probably would get a lot more followers that way. Same with Undertale. Its gameplay can get challenging, but a lot of people I feel like are more there for like the story and the characters and stuff like that. And that game does kind of have that X factor of like something that makes it unique and stand out from everything else. And I kind of want to use that as a transition point to cover the game suggestions that I got for the Q&A. I was not expecting to get game suggestions for this, but I did take note of them, and I figured I don't know if this is the halfway point or what point this is, but I want to take the time in the middle somewhere to be able to cover these game suggestions. So just going down the list, Undertale / Deltarune, I had a couple of people suggest this. Undertale would not be blind. I have not played Undertale myself besides like the opening bits, but I have seen Undertale played on like I think I saw Markiplier play it. I might have seen a couple of other people play it, but yeah, Undertale would not be blind. Deltarune, I've seen chapter 1 played, but I don't remember any of it. But I think I want to wait for the full game to come out for that one. Isn't there only 2 chapters out right now? I don't know, but yeah, I could play Deltarune. That would be blind. Undertale would not, unfortunately. Night in the Woods is one of my favorite games of all time. I actually would not mind playing it on the channel because it means that much to me. But yeah, that one would not be blind either. Slay the Princess is on my list. That game looks very interesting and I do want to play it. In Stars and Time, I think I actually just bought that one from the Steam winter sale. Yeah, I do want to play that one as well. Everhood, I've seen a little bit of it in like live streams. I don't know how good I would be at it because I tend to be, even though music is a hobby, I tend to be really bad at rhythm games. When they involve like multiple buttons or like too fast of a tempo. I don't know, like my hand-eye coordination, or like I don't even know, my coordination with like being able to quickly switch inputs between my fingers is just not good. But I'd be down for it. Portal 1 and 2 I played before I started the channel. Half-Life 1 and 2 I have not played, so I wouldn't mind trying out those at some point. Noita, I think that's how you pronounce it, Noita. I think it's pronounced Noita. I actually had 3 people suggest this to me, and I don't think I own it yet, but I have. It looks very interesting, with the destructible environments and stuff. So yeah, if that's what you guys want to see, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Tunit or Tunit, I was actually really impressed because I have not heard of this one. I tend to pride myself on hearing about a lot of different games that other people have not heard about, but yeah, Tunit or Tunit is is one that I myself have not heard of. I'm sorry, it looks like my voice is going. So I'm gonna be trying to be a little bit more relaxed for the rest of this. I'm also almost out of water, but apparently it's like a horror game, or like a PC building game with horror elements. That sounds fascinating. I wouldn't mind checking that out. Shadows of Doubt, I actually played the demo for it. I streamed it as well. It was at the very end of the stream, so I had to like hurry up and wrap it up, so my gameplay is not very good for it. But I will, and I played a bunch of Next Fest demos during that stream. So yeah, I did enjoy the demo, and it is on my wish list to check out at some point. Magic Craft is another one I've never heard of, so I'll have to look that one up at some point. Risk of Rain, I have played the second one a little bit. It's not a game that I'm particularly good at. Shooters and stuff like that are not, they're definitely out of my element, but I wouldn't mind streaming it at some point maybe. Cult of the Lamb is kind of the same thing. The like combat and roguelike elements are stuff that I'm really into. Management sims, I tend to not be into all that much, but Cult of the Lamb has such a unique spin on it that I feel like it would be a good game to at least check out. And I think I did. Did I play the demo for that? I think I did, and I think I streamed it as well. I don't remember which video it is, but, or wait, maybe I didn't. I know I played the demo for it, and I know at the very least the combat and the like roguelike stuff was pretty cool. Anything by Gareth Damian Green. Now I actually had to look this person up because I had no idea who they were, but it turns out that they made In Other Waters and Citizen Sleeper, both games that I have heard of, both games that are on my wish list. Citizen Sleeper in particular is one that I absolutely plan on playing on the channel at some point. It reminds me a lot of Disco Elysium, and it looks really cool. I really want to play that. Pyre is actually one that I never finished. I started it a while back when it first came out, and I think I got like halfway through and I never finished it. So that is another one that I want to do like a mostly blind let's play on. I got as far as I had just recruited Tizo. That's as far as I got in Pyre. But I really want to finish it. I love all of Supergiant's games. Transistor is also one that I have not finished, but I started at one point. So expect both of those games on the channel at some point. Titan Souls, I've vaguely heard of that. I know it's a Souls-like. Wouldn't mind playing it at some point. Wilder Myth, I think I've seen this one. I think this is like a tabletop one, isn't it? Like with dice or cards or something, and you're like, it's like a D&D's like adventure or something. That one I feel like would be cool to do. And Crosscode. is one that I've had my eye on for a long time, and yeah, I would really like to play that one at some point too. So yeah, those are all of the game suggestions. So where was I? What dinosaurs do you like? I like a couple of the like stereotypical ones, like the Triceratops and the Stegosaurus. I think those are pretty cool. Other than that, I think when I was little, I really liked the Diplodocus. I don't know, it just seemed very unusual with like the giant horn on its head and stuff like that. So yeah, those three are probably my favorites. Will you make the games list public? I would love to. I don't know how I would do that because the games list is currently at over 900. And when I create the Discord, I'll probably recreate the list in like its own separate channel at some point so that everyone can view it and check out what games I have on the list. All 912 of them, or however many there are right now. How's your day going? How are you? If I'm being honest, I'm pretty tired. I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule because things got really bad in terms of me not getting enough sleep. My job also kind of sucks. I'm not a big fan of my job right now, but doing the channel, it makes me so happy that all of that stuff doesn't really matter all that much. In terms of in this moment, my throat is not doing the best right now, but talking like this is helping not make it worse. I probably will get some more water at some point. But yeah, right now, in terms of like overall, I'm probably the happiest I've been in a while, in like a long time. And yeah, that's all because of you guys and this channel and being able to do this. And yeah, it's just been really cool. It's been really great. Are there any reoccurring themes you enjoy across multiple games? Again, like existentialism is one that I really enjoy. So like Night in the Woods, Near Automata, Outer Wilds, those all have different interpretations of what it means to be alive and like the finding purpose and stuff like that. I probably could have bundled that with the other question, honestly, because like, yeah, existentialism is one that I really enjoy. In general, like different philosophies, like religious philosophies, like existentialism, and stuff like depression, anxiety, mental health. Those are all things that I would say I do enjoy across all of the games that I play, at least from just purely a theming perspective. Any games you recommend? I actually really love this question because it's very rare that I actually get asked which games I recommend. So in terms of games I've said before, obviously Nier Automata, I can't recommend that one enough. I highly suggest that you guys play it. One of the most unique endings I've ever played, one of the best music, voice acting, characters, the whole thing. The way it presents its story is super unique. I love Nier Automata. Night in the Woods is another one I highly recommend. That one kind of it influenced the way I think of NPCs and how they're utilized in games, because Night in the Woods, every single NPC has a payoff if you interact with them enough, and I think that's really cool. Journey is another one I recommend. Tunic is another one I would recommend. Inscription. And then in terms of more like, obviously any game that I mentioned when it came to like my top 10 Let's Plays or games, I recommend. But in terms of like more obscure games, the Red Strings Club, that is honestly one of the most underrated games that I've ever played on the channel to me. I've never forgotten that game and the way it covers its themes of like the illusion of choice. That is one that I highly recommend because I do not think it got enough attention when it came out. It's really good. And that developer's other game that they just came out with, the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, I've played the demo for it and I really enjoyed it. That developer really likes to play with storytelling and how the player can shape it, and Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood has some very interesting concepts at play for how to shape the story that is unfolding. Other than that, I recently played the demos for Laika Aged Through Blood and Worldless. Both of those were incredibly good. I haven't played the full games yet, but I highly recommend those just based on the demos alone. And then I also recently played a demo for a game called Tevi, which is like an anime Japanese like bullet hell Metroidvania. And I typically don't enjoy bullet hells, but Tevi for some reason just felt really good to play, and I really enjoyed my time with the demo. So yeah, it's no Hollow Knight, but like it seems to be a really good Metroidvania in its own right, and I really recommend that. Also, when it comes to like anime and like Japanese games, the game like Persona 5 and Nier Automata are some of my favorite games I've ever played. But the first game that I ever played in that style, and the game that made me want to play more games in that style, is Gravity Rush. And so, yeah, I really recommend that one as well. That one's like a classic, like cult classic PlayStation game. I managed to get the remaster for free through PlayStation Plus for PS4, and that's how I played it, and it was really good. I really liked it. What superpower would you want? So this one is, I, I don't know if I've ever told anyone this because no one's ever like asked this question before, and my answer is super complicated, but I think it's really fun. So I would like to be able to manipulate air on a molecular level, because that would give me access to a bunch of other abilities, but it wouldn't be those exact abilities. It would just be me like manipulating the molecules of air. So like I'd be able to have like telekinesis because I would be able to lift things up using air. I could fly because I could lift myself up using air. I could make air solid and create like barriers. I could also create like tornadoes and kind of control the weather because I'm pretty sure air molecules have something to do with that. So yeah, if I could have any superpower, that would be what I want, to be able to control air on a molecular level. What are the elements of games that keep you playing, and which games best exemplify those elements? So I feel like this is like it all comes down to the X factor and like having specific moments in games that really resonate with me personally. Like and it doesn't take me very long. It doesn't take very much to like keep me playing a game, but what keeps the game in my mind, like what makes it memorable, is like specific moments, or like specific feelings. And that's kind of what I mean by like that X factor for me, because I've played a lot of games and I've enjoyed a lot of games, but not all games are going to stick with me. So like elements of games that keep me playing would be like any emotional story that like makes me cry or like really resonates with themes that I hold dear to my heart. So stuff like existentialism. If you want to know which games made me cry on the channel, stuff like Omori, One Shot, Spiritfarer, those all like are going to live in my head for a long time because there were moments that made me cry. Other than that, if the game system is fun, like for example, God of War, I really enjoy the combat in that game. That kept me playing. I also enjoyed the characters and stuff too, but like to keep me playing, like the gameplay is really good. I don't know, just like a really good story overall, like Night in the Woods or like Omori, because you definitely, like, for example, Omori, you definitely don't play Omori for its combat. The combat definitely outstays its welcome. But the story and characters are what you keep playing for. Um, yeah, games that deliver consistently good writing, consistently good characters, consistently good gameplay, or like a mixture of the three. And even like an art style can be intriguing enough to keep you playing. Um, but yeah, all in all, I would say like it's going to be unique. I can't. It's hard to describe because it is truly going to be like unique to me. Um, and like I'll keep playing a game no matter what, but whether or not it sticks with me is really going to depend on those individual moments and like the overall feelings that are conveyed. What do you do for a living? Right now, I work the deli counter at a supermarket. Well, not really a supermarket, just like a market, but like I work the prepared foods counter. So I work the deli slicers and I like serve the like prepared dishes, like pre-made dishes to customers. Um, it's not the most glamorous job in the world, but it pays well. It pays better than previous jobs I've had. It is also very corporate, so it's not the best environment in the world either. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be there, but it's not behind a register, and I don't have to deal with trying to like get customers to buy things or like trying to get sales. So in terms of that, best job I've had. Because my previous jobs were at a gas station as a cashier and at GameStop as a cashier. And GameStop had a way of like you had to keep trying to hit sales targets, and I really hated that. And the gas station was just not a good environment overall. But yeah, this one is better than either of those, but still not the best. Hopefully, at some point I can do this full time, but we'll see. Do you like games without a story, an explicit story unwinding as I play, or hidden lore in plain sight? I'll play anything. I think overall, out of those, I do like being able to figure out a story. I think there's a good way, like, there are games that are able to find a good balance of like an explicit story with like a hidden lore to figure out. Going off of, yeah, I also like exploration in games, like being able to find the story through exploration, like Outer Wilds and Hollow Knight and Tunic, and Rain World. But like I also do enjoy games without a story, which that comes to mind, like puzzle games come to mind when I think of that. Games like The Witness and Antichamber and stuff like that. But yeah, I think out of all of them, maybe hidden lore with explicit story coming in very close behind, and like a good mixture of the two, I think is really nice. So those are all of the like gaming and channel related questions. So the rest of these are all just gonna have to do with me. Can you visualize having 600 people watch you? No. Like I know I think like for 400 or 300, something like that, like I said something about having a small auditorium watch me, and I have performed on a stage before with a choir, so I do have an idea of what it is like to have a good amount of people watch. Like maybe like 400-ish, 400, 500. But having any more than that, like I can picture like a football stadium or something like that, but that amount is just insane to me. Having that many people gather around to watch me play video games. Little old me. It's a crazy thought. But as long as you guys give me your time, I will continue to cherish that. So yeah, I think that's my answer. Do I have any pets? I do. I have a little cockapoo. Uh, his name is Cody, and he is a really good boy. But yeah, he's the best. He's 14 years old right now, so he's getting up there. We've had him since he was 3 months. And yeah, he's a really good boy. He sits in my room with me whenever I stay up late at night editing. And yeah, he's just really adorable. How long have you dreamed of doing YouTube for? I want to say Markiplier first planted the seed in my brain in like 2016, 2017. And it was specifically one of his videos that was like specifically about striving to do something that you want to do. Like having the courage to be able to start something or something like that. And I'm not afraid to admit that I did not have that courage back then. I didn't know whether or not people would want to watch me, and I was very not confident in myself. I really didn't want to put myself out there, and it was only through like playing Persona 5 Royal and realizing how much I wanted my own life to change that gave me the motivation and courage to be able to start the channel. But yeah, Markiplier definitely planted the initial seed. Is your favorite color green? How could you tell? Yes, my favorite color is green. I used to have a system when I was really little where I would change my favorite color every year. Like I remember when I was 5, my favorite color was red. And then when I was 6, my favorite color was probably like yellow or something like that, but I kind of gave up on that. My top 3 colors are blue, orange, and green, but my favorite color is definitely green. What's your biggest fear? In terms of like irrational phobias and stuff like that, wasps, hornets, needles, roller coasters. I have fears of all of those. I will have an anxiety attack in roller coaster rides sometimes, or like in the lines for roller coasters, or if there is and in the doctor's office when I need to get like a shot or something. And if there is a wasp or hornet in the vicinity, or a bee, I will run in the opposite direction. In terms of more abstract fears, I think I'm afraid of being alone forever. Like being without love or without anyone to talk to. I feel like that's a pretty frightening thought. And then beyond that, this is actually a more recent one that I like thought about and actually had like a little like stressful episode like in my head over at one point. But dying, and like not dying, but losing my sense of self is something that I'm afraid of, because like when I die, how much of myself will I retain? Will I still have the memories and stuff that make me me, or will I be someone else? Because like I was raised a Christian, so my general belief is that I have a soul and my soul will go to heaven when I die, but will that soul, how much of me will be retained? And that is something that I am a little bit afraid of. And then also just like losing control of my senses and not being able to trust my senses or my mind, like hallucinations or not being able to trust my senses from my mind is something that I'm also like afraid of. And I think the last question that I have, which I purposely saved for last, is what new games are you planning next? And like to follow up on that, are there any particular games you're looking forward to playing, and what are some of the top games on your list? So right now, I really want to play Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2. I really want to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. I really want to play Ghost of Tsushima. I really want to review Near Replicant. And some of the demos I want to play the full game for. I want to try out Goodbye Volcano High. I want to try out Laika Age Through Blood, Worldless, Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, Alan Wake 2, Talos Principle 2. I want to play so many games. Like, those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head of like what I'm in the mood for right now. But there's so many games that I want to play, and I want to play all of them on the channel, either through reviews, discussions, or through Let's Plays. And yeah, I have so many games, and with every game, I think I want to get better. Like, especially with the discussion reviews, and I want to make those consistent, and I want to learn how to do those better. So yeah, there's Signalis is another one that I wouldn't mind trying out as like a first horror foray onto the channel. But anyway, yeah, those might be what's coming up. At least those are my personal picks. When it comes to the next Let's Play, I'll probably go to the requests, which I know Noita was suggested here. I think someone else suggested Death's Door on, like, as one of the suggestions as well that I didn't mention, and I think that one might be coming up soon as well. But other than that, for all of that, yeah, who knows in what order those are even gonna come up. So yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to all of it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this extremely long Q&A video. Thank you guys so much for 700 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for giving me your time and for engaging with me and like caring about my theories and stuff like that. Thank you for all of your questions. I hope that I answered them well. If you have any comments or thoughts or follow-ups, please feel free to leave them down below. I would be more than happy to read all of them and hear your thoughts. And yeah, I think there are really good things in store for the channel, and I'm still really happy to be doing this. So thank you everybody so much, and I will see you guys in whatever you guys decide to watch me in next. Goodbye!